it's really hard to set boundaries. We end up saying yes to things that we don't want to, just because we don't have the energy to say no and to deal with and face any rupture or conflict that might come from that. So we find ourselves in that perpetual cycle of freeze, fawn, shut down, and passively moving through our lives. Welcome to the Embodied Woman podcast with me, Rebecca Wilson. If you believe that fertile energy, creative power, and embodied, resourced, nourished women will change the world, then you are in the right place. This is a space to support you to arrive deeper into relationship with yourself and your body, to explore the multifaceted experience of womanhood. It is my mission to guide women back into connection with their natural essence, to become the living embodiment of their true nature. Are you ready to join a community of women who are taking responsibility for our lives, our energy, women who are centered and rooted in ourselves, connected to our womb space and deeply nourished on a cellular level? If so, let's begin into this week's episode. Welcome to the community, my love. Hello, my love. Welcome back to the podcast. Today, we are journeying deep into why depleted women make depleted choices. Now, this is a theme that I often work with within my practice with my clients, as we not only look at the physical and physiological aspects of the body, we're also looking at the energetic, emotional, psychosomatic, and spiritual too. And through that multifaceted approach, we want to be exploring the patterns, beliefs, and choices that are woven into the actions that we are taking and the choices that we're making for ourselves in our lives. Often what we find in the underbelly of women that are experiencing depletion, exhaustion, and burnout is that they are stuck in cycles of making depleted, undernourishing choices for themselves. And throughout my work, I feel like it's my job to support and reorient those choices into and from a place of nourishment and fullness within the self. And that again happens on many different levels. It is a really important topic that we explore and often has a deep unraveling that happens as we go deeper into why we might be stuck in loops and cycles of making undernourished, depleted choices for ourselves, our lives, our bodies, and so on. In the modern world, what we know to be true is that life is busy, it's full, and it comes with quite a high level of stress for many people. Particularly as women, we find ourselves in this era of juggling many different roles, whether that be a mother, a partner, a professional, a caregiver, a friend, a member of a community. Maybe you are a thought leader and you have a business or a team of people that you are supporting or directing in your work too. And often, and quite easily, we can forget where our place in that list lives, and it can then drop to the bottom. But what we know to be true is that when we become depleted on that energetic, emotional, and physiological level, the choices that we align to are often depleting choices, because we don't have so much energy to possibly make new choices and reorient our awareness away from patterns and habits that are non-serving into ones that are more serving. So in today's episode, I wanted to dive deep into how depletion happens, why that leads to us making depleting decisions and choices, how you might be able to learn to recognize those within yourself, and then, of course, to reverse those patterns so that we're able to restore more energy and vitality and balance in our lives. We'll be looking at this topic from a multifaceted viewpoint, covering lots of different aspects of ourselves. So first of all, let's define what depletion is. So when I'm talking about depletion, I'm talking about and referring to a lack of vital resources in your body and system. That could be emotional energy, physical strength, mental clarity, energetic, emotional, or spiritual connection to yourself, connection to your body. Having a wellspring, if we will, of energy across all planes of the body within. When we are nourished, rested, and cared for, this well of energy can live in an optimal or a vibrant, abundant, full state. This is those seasons of life where we feel resilient, clear in our mind. There's a sense of fullness, groundedness, an energy of feeling in your power, and you feel able to make decisions from that aligned place. We can often feel in a state of flow when we are in that place. And we're more easily able to access our needs and desires because we are more grounded, nourished, and available. And then the opposite, when we have been living in a season of stress, overwhelm, we've not been taking care of ourselves mentally, physically, emotionally, we're not nourished well, maybe not eating enough or not balancing our meals in the way that our body needs. We're not holding clear boundaries around our time and our energy. This well of energy and vitality in our body begins to run dry. We might find ourselves in people-pleasing patterns, overgiving, taking on too many responsibilities, neglecting our own emotional and spiritual needs. So when this happens, the wellspring of vitality in our body runs low. Sometimes it can reach the absolute bottom, pouring from an empty cup scenario. And that's when we feel depleted. The body will feel tired. You can easily feel triggered, emotionally overwhelmed. You feel disconnected from yourself, your body. You might feel disconnected from your relationships, your purpose and your vision in the world. It might be more challenging to connect to joy, ease, flow, fun. It may be that you're feeling burnt out, exhausted, nervous system is dysregulated and fried. You may also find it challenging to connect to your sensuality and sexual energy. Your libido might be running low or non-existent. So we can feel for a moment all of those things. We've all felt them before because we've all been in times of stress. But we can see and feel how over a period of time, when we're constantly living in that state, it becomes more challenging for us to make choices that are nourishing for us. Our ability to make aligned decisions becomes compromised because we don't have a lot of energy left to do so. So instead of making those choices from a full place, we end up making choices from that place of lack, fear, survival, or simply just trying to get by. It's very hard to listen to our needs and the wisdom of our body when we are in that state. From a psychosomatic viewpoint, depletion starts in the mind and emotions and eventually manifests in our bodies. And this is what we can mean when we say that stress or emotional exhaustion can make us feel physically unwell. When you are in a state of emotional exhaustion, you're feeling drained, maybe because you've been overgiving, tending to others, working more hours, not honoring your body and your cyclical living. Your body begins to hold on to these burdens, and that can lead you quite quickly into a state of fatigue. Often I hear from clients they experience digestive issues, chronic pain, chronic exhaustion, burnout, fatigue, easily overwhelmed, emotionally reactive to their life experiences. When we're in this depleted state, our brain's ability to function clearly is compromised. And this is where cognitive brain fog sets in. It makes it harder for you to focus, to think critically, or make long-term plans. Instead, you're in this state of falling back on habitual or reactive decision making. And this is where we can find ourselves stuck in a toxic job or an environment that doesn't serve us, or in patterns in our relationships that are not really how we want and desire and know that we can show up. We don't have that bandwidth or clarity to see our way out. We're kind of stuck without a light at the end of the tunnel. We can get very stuck in survival-based decision-making rather than thriving-based choices. And here we can get stuck in loops of scrolling on the phone, eating foods that are not so optimal for us, not going to bed at the correct time for our own rhythm, over lack of movement. And we can get just stuck, on that hamster wheel of depleting choice after depleting choice. And it's totally understandable. When we're in that state, we're just trying to get through the day. But it also affects how we are able to show up for ourselves. And I often witness this in my clients, and it's something that I have observed and worked through quite deeply in myself, that when we're in that place, it's really hard to set boundaries because we almost just go into a state of collapse. We just accept things as they are, fawn or collapse or freeze into the experience, and we just pacify what it is that we really want and truly need. We end up saying yes to things that we don't want to, just because we don't have the energy to say no and to deal with and face any rupture or conflict or challenge that might come from that. So we find ourselves in that perpetual cycle of freeze, fawn, shut down, and passively moving through our lives. On an energetic level, when we're depleted, it's our vital life force that is lacking. It's burning out. It's the flame that isn't roaring. And this is what sustains us on a physical, emotional, and spiritual level. And this can happen because we have not been setting those boundaries with ourselves and also with our external relationships. We might be feeling overly responsible for ourselves, our job, taking on too many responsibilities in all areas of our lives. You might be giving too much without allowing yourself to receive, not resting enough, being in toxic environments that drain you on an energetic level, but just staying in them because you don't know any better or you haven't got the ability to move out of them. But when we are low in this energetic sense, we can often start to feel a disconnect from our own sense of wisdom and power. Here you might feel scattered, and this is where we can become more susceptible to external influences. We become easily influenced by our environment, other people's thoughts, beliefs, experiences. And you just find yourself making decisions to align with everybody else, to go with the flow, because, well, quite honestly, you can't be asked. You have not got the capacity or the energy to do anything different. And this is where you become out of your own center. You become ungrounded. You're not centered in your own energy. And you can see yourself sometimes just taking on more and more tasks. And this is where resentment can often be born from. Resentment is a really tough emotion to be in. It's a great emotion to feel because it's giving us a divine message that something is not aligned. However, if you stay stuck in these cycles of behaviors and choices, you're going to stay stuck in the energy of resentment. And that has a huge impact on the delicate physiological and energetic maps and blueprints of our female body. When we're in this state, we can often see or find ourselves being attracted to groups of friends, communities that also have this viewpoint and energy. Like attracts like. We then end up in relationships, friendships, places of work that continue to drain us rather than uplift us. On a spiritual level, when we are depleted, our connection to our inner wisdom and our inner guidance becomes weaker and weaker. This often happens when women place too much focus on the external world, whether that be societal expectations, the family's needs, the demands of her job, without taking the time to truly nourish herself and check in with what it is that she might need. In this state, our ability to hear our intuition or connect to our soul, spirit, wisdom, whatever it is that you call that part of you within, becomes less and less. We fall out of making aligned choices that are for our highest good, and we can often arrive into fear-based thinking, scarcity, lack, and we're in this constant searching of external validation. This is where you become disconnected from your truth, your light becomes dimmed, and it's harder for you to trust yourself and make your own choices. Here we can often hand our power over to external sources, whether that be systems, communities, ideologies, people, society. There's many different things that are outside of us. And we hand our power over to it saying, I don't want to be responsible. I don't want to be in my power. You make the decision for me and I will just follow. Ultimately, we do that because we believe on some level that that is the safer thing to do because we've been severed from ourselves and therefore we want someone else to be responsible for our choices. So how do we move through this? How do we break the cycle? Well, as always, it starts with awareness. The first step is always recognizing and realization that we're in these patterns and we're in a depleted state. From there, we can begin to observe, how is this affecting me and the choices that I'm making for myself, my body, and my life? The awareness is what helps us see the cycle that we're stuck in. Once we have the awareness, the next step is restoration. We must restore our energy physiologically, mentally, emotionally, energetically, and spiritually. And this is when we step into that season of setting boundaries, learning to say no, nourishing our bodies fully and well, taking rest, honoring our cycle, finding what it is that truly resources your energy and your body. That can often mean cutting ties with situations, places, experiences, and people that no longer serve us, or standing stronger in what it is that you need from your work, yourself, your life, and your relationships, and asking for those external things to meet you at this new place. Over time, by pouring into your body day by day, you become more resourced, more full, and your energy begins to rise. And it's from that place that those true healing shifts can happen because you have enough energy to make the changes and hold them strong. You're able to anchor into yourself, your body, and stand for what it is that you believe, what it is you need, and how your body needs to be nourished and tended to and taken care of in the season of life that you are in. So if this has resonated with you, my love, just know that you are not alone. We've all had at least one season of our life where we have been a depleted woman making very depleting choices. But the good news is that whatever has arisen and awoken for you in these moments that you've listened and reflected, this can be your first step out of the cycle by bringing deeper awareness into how this all might be showing up for you. I have linked in the show notes of this episode a free gifted resource for you. a nervous system support and embodiment guide that will offer you practices, modalities, teachings that will support you to begin to cultivate some deeper resource within your body and your mind. If you scroll on down to the show notes, the link will be there. Click the link, sign up. It's a free gifted resource that will be sent straight to your inbox. And I really do hope that it supports you to step out of any depletive cycles and patterns that you find yourself in and step into becoming more grounded, regulated, and resourced. Thank you for joining me on this journey today. If you loved this episode, please share it far and wide with your sisterhood and community. You can dive deep into all of my offerings via rebecca-wilson.com. Links to all offerings are below in the show notes of this episode. If you would love to support the podcast, please like, subscribe, download, and share the episodes so my work and this message can reach more women around the world. Remember, my love, you are here to live a life fully, deeply inhabiting your body and your divine nature. I am here to show you how. Hey love, I'm just dropping in to share that the doors are open for the waitlist for the next round of Embodied Woman Group Mentorship. This is a journey like no other, a deep dive into embodiment, somatic awareness, self-honoring and healing practices, the journey of remineralization, awakening your feminine energy and restoring the resources within your heart, body, wombs, cells, and overall vitality. This is my signature program, which launches twice a year. There are limited spaces for the intake. If you're feeling the call, head on down to the show notes in this episode, click the link and join the waitlist where you will receive more information soon. Hope you enjoyed the episode of this podcast. Sending you so much love. Have a beautiful, vital, and nourishing day.